Narcissism is one of the most intricate and misunderstood psychological traits of the modern era. Far from being mere arrogance or superficial vanity, narcissism represents a complex and often fragile personality structure. At its core lies deep insecurity, an overdependence on external validation, and a disjointed sense of self. Understanding this framework becomes crucial when you find yourself in the orbit of someone who exhibits these behaviors, particularly when their actions begin to erode your own clarity, peace, and self-respect. This discussion is not about vengeance or labeling others as irredeemable. Rather, it is a matter of personal protection and self-knowledge. By understanding what disturbs and destabilizes a narcissist, you can create firm boundaries and protect your psychological well-being. Here are 6 essential traits and behaviors that narcissists struggle to tolerate, each of them rooted in strength, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. Number 1. Authenticity. Authenticity is one of the most disarming forces you can bring into any relationship with a narcissist. Living authentically means expressing your thoughts honestly, aligning with your values, and refusing to live behind a socially acceptable facade. For a narcissist, who constructs their identity through shifting masks and performance, the presence of authenticity feels both foreign and threatening. Because narcissists thrive on manipulating perceptions and constructing illusions, someone who is deeply grounded in self-awareness and truth becomes much harder to influence. Your consistent truthfulness, emotional transparency, and refusal to perform for approval serve as a direct challenge to their identity. More than just frustrating, your authenticity becomes a mirror, reflecting the emptiness they work so hard to mask. Moreover, authenticity involves emotional transparency, something narcissists avoid at all costs. Vulnerability, when expressed without shame, signals a level of strength they cannot comprehend. And though your intention isn't to expose them, your authenticity becomes a quiet indictment of their constructed reality. 2. Indifference. Narcissists crave attention in all its forms: praise, admiration, sympathy, even conflict. Their fragile self-worth relies on the reactions of others. Indifference, therefore, is one of the most destabilizing responses you can offer. When you disengage emotionally, you cut off the supply of validation that fuels their sense of superiority. Indifference is not passive avoidance. It is an intentional refusal to be manipulated or provoked. It is a calm declaration. You no longer control my emotional world. This approach also disrupts their manipulative cycles. Whether they attempt to flatter, guilt trip, or provoke you into an argument, your detached composure makes their usual tactics ineffective. This not only frustrates them, but also returns your emotional energy back to where it belongs, with you. Practicing indifference allows you to step outside their psychological maze. It reinforces your autonomy and detaches your self-worth from their games. Though it may provoke increasingly desperate attempts to regain your attention, remaining firm in your indifference asserts your strength. 3. Accountability. One of the greatest threats to a narcissist is being held accountable. Their self-image depends on the illusion of superiority and perfection. Admitting fault, even in the face of clear evidence, feels to them like psychological annihilation. Narcissists will often deflect, blame, deny wrongdoing, or rationalize their behavior. These tactics are defense mechanisms designed to protect a fragile ego from the pain of self-reflection. When you calmly and consistently require accountability, you force them to confront a truth they desperately avoid. This doesn't mean launching personal attacks or reacting with hostility. In fact, such responses can trigger further deflection. The key is to be factual and composed. State your expectations clearly, reference specific actions, and make it clear that you will not enable their avoidance. Even if they react with anger or attempts to reverse the blame, your insistence on accountability sets a standard. It also protects your integrity and reinforces your own perception of reality, rather than allowing it to be distorted by their narrative. 4. Empathy. While empathy may seem like a weakness in a battle with manipulation, it is in fact one of your greatest strengths. Narcissists often mimic empathy to serve their own agendas, but true emotional understanding confuses them. It brings to light the depth they lack. Approaching a narcissist with empathy is not about excusing their behavior, it's about seeing it clearly. Recognize the fear, insecurity, and unresolved trauma beneath their facade. This insight helps you maintain emotional distance while responding without aggression. Empathy diffuses their tactics. When they lash out or play the victim, responding with calm understanding disrupts their expectations. It deprives them of drama. More importantly, it highlights the contrast between your grounded presence and their emotionally shallow manipulation. Balancing empathy with firm boundaries is key. Acknowledge their emotions, but prioritize your own well-being. Show compassion without surrender. In doing so, you model a higher level of emotional intelligence and deny them control. Lima. Boundaries. Boundaries are perhaps the most practical tool for maintaining psychological sovereignty. Narcissists loathe boundaries because they challenge their belief that they deserve unfiltered access to your attention, energy, and time. When you set clear, consistent boundaries, you communicate that your needs matter just as much as theirs. It contradicts their worldview. And when they attempt to violate these limits, your refusal to bend sends a clear signal. I will not sacrifice myself to please you. This can provoke anger or manipulation. They may test your limits with charm or guilt, but holding firm reclaims your power. It redefines the dynamic, from one of exploitation to one of respect. You are not responsible for their reactions, only for protecting your emotional space. Boundaries require consistency. If they sense you waver, they will push harder. But when you enforce your limits calmly and persistently, you change the landscape of the relationship. You become unshakable. 6. Personal growth. Nothing unsettles a narcissist more than your evolution. Personal growth, whether emotional, intellectual, physical, or professional, draws attention to their own stagnation. It contradicts their illusion of superiority. Your progress threatens their control. It signals that you are no longer dependent on their approval or constrained by their narrative. They may try to diminish your achievements, dismiss your goals, or distract you with chaos. Don't fall for it. Your growth is not a challenge to them. It's a commitment to yourself. It reminds you of your strength, your autonomy, and your potential. The more you invest in your development, the more resistant you become to manipulation. Your success may never be celebrated by a narcissist, but it doesn't need to be. You're not growing for their applause. You're growing for your freedom. In conclusion, dealing with a narcissist requires a unique blend of insight, strength, and strategy. Authenticity, indifference, accountability, empathy, boundaries, and personal growth are not just ways to protect yourself. They are markers of emotional maturity and self-respect. You don't need to defeat a narcissist. You simply need to rise beyond their reach. By staying rooted in your truth, clear in your boundaries, and committed to your growth, you become immune to their influence. And in doing so, you not only reclaim your peace, you inspire others to do the same.